Hey, how's it
How are
going?
you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I like your t-shirt.
Yeah, do you know this band?
I don't know like them that much, but I've seen a show one time. It was great.
Oh, yeah. Which show were
Yeah.
you at?
It was at the Fairmount Theater in Montreal.
I was there.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I saw them at the Corona as well. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, and then they were meant to be coming back this year, but it never happened for obvious reasons. But
Yeah. I was
um,
disappointed because the Drab Majesty was supposed to open
right.
and they canceled like the day of, and I had bought tickets just to see Drab Majesty, but I
Uh,
I I still like I enjoyed Deaf Heaven. It's like I hadn't really listened to their stuff. Like the friend I was going with at the time was a big fan, so it was nice. It was fun.
yeah, it's really annoying that when you buy tickets for the opening act and then it changes
Yeah.
because you still have tickets for the headliner.
Yeah.
That's happened to me multiple times. I'm like, I kind of like the headliner, but that wasn't really why I bought the ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there we go. But we're not here to talk about Deaf Heaven. We're here to talk about you.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting time for you right now
Yeah, it's
after,
very exciting.
after multiple singles and EPs. We finally have an album and it's
Finally.
out in the world. How,
Yes.
how does it feel to finally have that out in the world?
It feels like I've just given birth to a baby and now I can like rest. Except that's not how
I
babies
was
work.
going to say that's not how it works. I
Like,
know.
but yeah, I don't know, like it just feels like I can like recenter myself and like create something like the next thing. But like right now, like I don't have time to like make another album right now. I'm like preparing the shows, doing a lot of like interviews and stuff. So it's like it's fun to like take the album and like hopefully make it like travel into the world and like share it with the world like live and stuff. It's exciting.
Have you actually listened to it yourself since it was released?
I hadn't listened to it since it was mastered. Like usually once the song is mastered and ready to go, I'm like sick of hearing it. So I did listen to it because like with friends, like they've wanted to like play it. Like I had a rap party with like people that were involved and we played the album and stuff. So I have listened to it and I feel like now I can listen to it with more enjoyment because it's like it's done, it's out. I can't like overthink it anymore.
I've spoken to some artists that they say that when they listen to the album after it's actually released, they listen to it with a different kind of mindset, in the way that you've said, but also they kind of listen to it from a listener's perspective rather than a creator's perspective. Did you find
Yeah.
the same?
Yeah, it's like, and even just like seeing it on the streaming platforms and like holding the CD in my hands, it's like, yeah, it becomes like something that that you perceive like as the listener. It's true.
The album is a shift from some of the earlier singles and EPs. Was the writing process different when you went into making the album?
It was because in my personal like life, I was working on learning how to affirm myself and being vulnerable and moving out of the people pleasing pattern that I was in. And through that, I came to need to face myself and accept who I was and why I am the way that I am and so anyway, in that process of like having compassion for my inner child, I kind of went back to that workflow that I had as a child and as a teenager, because I kind of had rejected that part of my identity because I grew up feeling like a loner and like an outcast. And so I hadn't really fully accepted and owned that part of my identity for a while. And so through that process of like forgiving myself and like having compassion, I just fell in love with that workflow again, because that's my roots, like writing pop songs on my guitar, and writing like very catchy structures and being transparent and emotional in my songwriting. Like that's my roots. And I feel like I had kind of set those aside because I didn't think it was cool enough. And as soon as I let myself go there again, it kind of was just like an overflowing amount of inspiration that was just like bursting out.
Yeah. So it sounds almost like recording this album is some kind of musical therapy for you.
Yeah. Well, songwriting, like originally for me, I wrote, like even before writing songs, I had diaries when I was a kid. I would draw and I would write, and I would like write, cringy poems and like, yeah. So it was always a therapy. And I think that like working on my sense of affirmation, I kind of came to realize that I had always affirmed myself through my songwriting. Like if I had an issue, even before writing songs, I would write like poems and stuff. And like if I had an issue with a friend, or if someone hurt my feelings, I wasn't able to talk about it to them and stand up for myself. So I would put it all into my diary, and I would put it into poetry, and I would put it into, eventually it became songs when I was about 15. And I started learning how to play guitar. It became kind of like natural for me to just like put my poetry onto the music. Sorry, I don't even remember what the question is. Oh, the therapeutic aspect of it. But yeah, it was a therapy for me. And throughout my life, like the busier I was, the more I was songwriting, the more like songs I would write. And then it just became, now it's my job, but it still is that therapy for me. And I think it became that during the last year. I really went back to that like therapeutic side of it, because for a few years I was kind of just like trying to make cool music and trying to, like I studied jazz. And so in like the jazz culture, there's a lot of elitism around like pop being too simple. And I was trying to do like R&B and stuff, and trying to make music that like I would think that people would listen to. And with this album, I kind of just went with what felt authentic instead of trying to please someone.
So was there one song on the album that was like the catalyst for that, where you started playing with an idea and then you were like, actually, this is where I'm going to go?
Well, You're Not Real, You're Just a Ghost was kind of it was like the seed that was planted, where it was like the first song that I kind of let myself go into that like angsty emo aesthetic. And I wrote that like before, but that kind of was the beginning of really wanting to dive into that aesthetic. And then like, as I was writing, I think the first song that I wrote of like the kind of that like body of work was Choke. And it's like about fear of abandonment and stuff. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like the song that I feel like encapsulated the song that inspired the title of the album is I Don't Need My Space, because it's about setting boundaries and expressing your needs. And I was reading a lot about attachment styles, and I was realizing that I felt like I was like the anxious avoidant type, and like anxious and avoidant are like kind of the two ends of the spectrum. And I felt like I was kind of like in the middle, and I think we all are to a certain extent. And so I felt like it really kind of was a good title, because I feel like the album is kind of like a diary of emotions that an anxious avoidant person is going through. And I think that people can relate, whether they're more on the anxious side or more like the avoidant side.
It's such a good title. That's one of the things I was going to say to you. It just like, it really grabs your attention and makes you want to know more about what's inside. You kind of mentioned that obviously these are very personal themes on the record, but the listener is going to interpret them in their own way. Is that something that you're very conscious of when you're writing the lyrics?
I try not to overthink like what people are going to think about what I write. And also I feel like that's kind of one of the beautiful things about art, is that I'm like putting something out into the universe, and then someone else will experience it based on their life experience. And I mean, sometimes I like to be a little bit more elusive and like, you know, say things that I know I'll understand. Like, yeah. So, and then, so if that person that's listening to it interprets it in a different way, like, I feel like it's really interesting to see like what people take out of it. Like I've had with this album, since it's been very much, it's a very like lyrical album. And the way that people listen to it, I feel like I've never had so many comments and questions about my songwriting, and people have had like very precise and concise commentary about it. And it's been really fun to see like how people perceive it.
So you mentioned that you'd written it on guitar a lot. How does writing on guitar change the actual songs themselves compared to what you were doing before?
Well, there's the aspect of having something stripped down to its core. It's kind of like a skeleton of a song as opposed to like a full arrangement. So what I like about it is it stays fluid. And until I'm done with the song, I can change up the structure, and it's not like, I feel like when I was working directly in my computer producing stuff, sometimes things weren't like so flexible. And then also just in like with the muscle memory that you get from playing guitar, it's like I kind of like my intuition knows where I want to go in terms of the chords and the composition and stuff. And yeah, and I feel like when you're just like playing the chords and the melody and the lyrics on one instrument, you can tell like where there's weaker spots in the music. And so I just really like to go back to that stripped down workflow. And then when we recorded it, it was the first time I had the opportunity to have a space that was big enough to record with like everyone at the same time, recording the drums and the guitar and the bass like all together. And I feel like you really feel that synergy. And I liked that we didn't have like fully arranged songs. So it gave us the space to have the songs kind of become whatever they become. Like All Fucking Weekend ended up becoming kind of like the banger of the album, but it like I didn't expect that. Like it was like a soft, vulnerable ballad. And then it became like super angsty and punk the way that we performed it. So
yeah, it's a good opening statement, that song.
Thank you. Yeah, I like it.
2 a.m. and I did it again.
Now, I saw the video for 2 a.m., which was recorded in London. I'm British, as you may have guessed. So yeah. Tell me about that. Why were you in London, and why did you decide to do the video there?
Well, actually, it was Leia, the director. She has a very like hands-on approach where it's not too scripted, if that makes sense. Like she kind of just likes to capture the magic that occurs. And she films analog as well, and she travels a lot. And so she pitched us the idea because she was planning on going to London to see her dad, because her dad lives there. And so when we asked her if she wanted to direct and produce a video for us, she just, that was like her suggestion. She was like, we could just go walk around London. And so I was like, that's cool. I mean, it's not, there wasn't like that much like more thought into it, but I thought it was really fun. And I have been referencing a lot of like punk kind of stuff. And I feel like London is like the punk city.
Yeah, well, there's definitely that kind of, Sex Pistols vibe going on in some of the shots. It just looks like you having a blast and causing a bit of chaos on the street. It's really a really fun video. Like we've already talked about how your sound has kind of shifted a little bit. What about the visual aspect? Because that's obviously very strong, the visual identity of what you're doing. Has that changed a lot throughout the time you've been making music?
Yeah, I've definitely had many like visual, like I can't commit to like a style or an aesthetic. Like I change my wardrobe like every year or two. Like I get rid of half my wardrobe and I get new stuff. I mean, I never get like brand new stuff. I go to thrift stores. But I like to switch up my clothing. I don't know, like last summer I was wearing a lot of colorful things and I had blue hair, and then I kind of went through kind of a difficult period towards the end of the summer and the fall, and I just like dyed my hair darker, and like it sounds so cliche, but like I don't know, I was sick of the colors. Like I just like didn't want to like I wanted to wear like grays and like more earthy tones, and I was really into the fairycore aesthetic and the like fairy grunge, and I'm really into like I make mood boards on Pinterest all the time, and I've been into the more like I like the kind of like the glam goth mixed with like earthy grunge. I like referencing like punk styles and goth styles. I'm just a fashion nerd.
Very striking, your look. If you see the all the pictures that I've seen of you have always like really grabbed your attention straight away, and I think that's a big the visual side and the musical side kind of clashing together works really really well for you.
Well, thank you.
In your music, there's we've talked about the fact that you like Drab Majesty. I know you grew up listening to Britney. And then there's elements of like country in your song, and then there's like electronica. Like, what was the first music that really grabbed you when you were growing up?
The first music that really grabbed me was when I watched the Titanic when I was 4 years old, and I was obsessed with the song by Celine Dion, and I kept asking my mom to sing it with me, and so she got me the cassette. And I was just obsessed with that song. And then it was Britney. And then I got into Avril Lavigne. And then it was Fall Out Boy. And then I had like a Taylor Swift phase as well. So it just kind of all went into this album. I feel like my songwriting was really like learning the Taylor Swift songs, because they were all like pretty like easy to play, and it's very like catchy melodies and like very pop structures. So I feel like that's when I was learning to write music. But then aesthetically, in terms of like the sounds, I feel like I'm more take inspiration from the post-punk, pop punk. I have a hard time with the fact that everyone's saying like I'm doing like alternative emo punk, and like the pop needs to be in there, because otherwise I feel like a poser. Like I don't think I'm making punk music. Like it's very pop. It's very easy listening. I'm not trying to like be underground or anything,
Yeah, but I think there's definitely elements of the underground in there. There's definitely punk elements in there. But like you say, you're coming out with these bangers that open the album, and there's definitely a pop aesthetic to the way the songwriting, they're catchy. There's a lot of melody in your songs. So do you see anybody as like being your contemporaries, like that you're paying attention to what they're doing because you're similar kind of musical genres?
Like the more contemporary artists I've been into lately have been Soccer Mommy. Do you know Soccer Mommy?
Yeah.
And Indigo D'Souza.
Oh yeah.
I never know how to say her name, but yeah, Indigo D'Souza.
So they're very different to what you were doing. Anybody else that you're excited about, like new artists?
Let me open my Spotify. I need to check.
That's what everybody does.
Do you know the song, the artist Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Yeah, it's a band called Wednesday, and it's very well, the album that I've been listening to, I haven't, because I always do this, like when I'm into an artist, I listen to like one song. Like I never like go check their, like it's really bad. So they have an album called I Was Trying to Describe You to Someone. And it's very like fragile, kind of deconstructed. There's a lot of like things that sound like iPhone recordings, but like if the iPhone was like 10 meters away, like it's like very, like I really like the grittiness and like I like when it sounds real and vulnerable. So I really like that. That's something that I like about the modern approach, is that there's no more rules in terms of like what is an appropriate like production. And then I've been really into Lamelda. Yeah, they have an album called Hannah, and I've been really into that. It's more like kind of like folkish pop. I like Big Thief as well.
Also Osheaga this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that your first time at Osheaga?
I've sung one song in my friend's show at some point.
Okay, that's not.
So I sang one song, and I got to have like the Artist World tickets, like super VIP, like free food all day. It was fun.
Nice. Well, you can do that then.
Yeah, I'm gonna have lobster and oysters. But I'm really excited, and we're playing. I'm pretty sure we're playing at like 6 p.m., which is amazing. So
yeah, so people will actually be there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Is that somewhere you've been a lot, to Osheaga?
I've been, first time I went was in 2010.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's crazy to like think about like when I was living in Quebec City, and we like booked a hotel just to come see like Osheaga. And like lately, well, before the pandemic, like I was kind of going every year because like, you know, the industry people just like kind of go every year. It becomes this like party / networking thing. Well, networking. Yeah. Like just getting drunk,
drinking and networking.
Yeah So no, it's really fun. I really enjoy Osheaga. I try to approach like festivals like that with like no expectations in terms of like who I want to see. Like I'm fine just seeing like 2 songs by an artist, because I don't like the stressful aspect of like, oh, we need to see that, and then we need to go there, and then so I just kind of go with the flow, see a couple of songs. Yeah. Well,
if you ever get to go to Glastonbury in the UK, that rule is definitely best kept in mind, because to get from one side of the festival to the other can take about an hour.
Oh, really?
It's so huge. It's like its own little city in the middle of the countryside.
Wow, that's crazy. Is there like shuttles and stuff?
No, you just have to walk. But along the way, as you're going from one stage to the other to see who you think you're going to see, you'll see so much amazing stuff on the way that you just get distracted, and that's part of the charm of Glastonbury. In my opinion, I've been to a lot of festivals, and in my opinion, there's no festival like it. And I can see you playing there, because it's just like, it's such an eclectic mix of styles. They have like legendary people, you know, like Paul McCartney I've seen there, but then they have real underground people and weird people and pop artists, and Napalm Death played there. So it's just an amalgamation of every kind of.
And when is it? Like what time of year?
It's at the end of June usually. Cool. Yeah. So I'll even I played there as a DJ.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. And what else is coming up this year for you?
I want to keep making music. I just hope that I can keep having the resources to do that. I've been into shoegaze, and I bought like a bunch of guitar pedals, and I've been taking guitar lessons. I've been playing guitar for a long time, but I kind of like was always just playing like open chords. So now I'm like practicing more. Like I want to perfect my craft when it comes to producing and yeah, producing. And I just like, I want to explore different sounds, just keep doing it. Yeah.
So I went on your Instagram and I went all the way back to the first post.
Oh, really?
And it's you as a little girl holding a frog.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that little girl now if you could speak to her?
Oh my God, that's a hard question. I would say, like, don't let people's fears and limitations hold you back.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
And did you ever kiss the frog?
No, I don't think so.
Well, congratulations on everything that's happening for you. The album's amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing it in a live environment and seeing you.
Yes.
Just keep on doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you for the interview.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. Nice talking to you.